કરી છે જો ખરેખર તમે કઈ સત્સંગમાં આપણે ઇન્વોલ્વ હોઈએ તો એક વખત આઈસીઆઈસીઆઈ બેંકમાં કઈ યાદ આવેલું ને તો
Namaskar, sir.
Hello, everybody.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Good evening.
Good evening. The universal prayer. Oh, hidden life, vibrant in every atom. Oh, hidden light, shining in every creature. Oh, hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Today, Brother Krishna ji will be continuing Mahatma letters to A P Sinnet, letter number 128, 129, and 93, edited by Barker, which are correspondence to chronological letter number 115, 16, and 17, part 2. Brother Krishna ji is well known to all of us. He is a national lecturer of Indian section TS and international speaker of Theosophical Society Adyar. Now I request Brother Krishna ji, please share the wisdom of the letters. Brother Krishna ji.
Yes. Dear brothers, good evening. Am I audible? Sushmaji's
Yes,
voice
sir.
was not
Yes.
so audible this side, so I'm asking.
Yes.
I guess I'm audible.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'll start with letters 128 and 129, as put in the notification also. The guidebook to the letters of the Masters of the Wisdom describes these letters like this. 2 telegrams from Henry Steele Olcott to Madame Blavatsky regarding the disappearance of Brother Damodar K. Mavalanka. Master K.H. has added his remark in blue pencil, probably when the telegram was in transit. This is what the book is saying. Circumstances under which these telegrams were sent. In October and November 1883, Henry Steele Olcott, the first international president, accompanied by Damodar K. Mavalanka and W.T. Brown, was touring in North India while at Jammu and Kashmir, Damodar K. Mavalanka suddenly disappeared one morning, leaving no information with Henry Steele Olcott, the president. Olcott says, I do not know about his whereabouts or whether he would return at all. H.P. Blavatsky, Madam Blavatsky was Radiar at that time. Now, how APS got hold of this telegram is not explained, says the book, the guidebook. Right, the first telegram is like this. It was given by Mr. Olcott to Madam Blavatsky to her personal name. And the text of the telegram is like this. The masters have taken Damodar. Return not promised. We will send him back, is the inscription of KH in blue pencil. This is what we are adding. But the telegram says the masters have taken Damodar, return not promised. Date 25/11/1883. And then the second telegram from Jammu and Kashmir to Adyar. This is addressed to the editor of the Theosophist. And the letter in the telegram says, Damodar left before dawn at about 8 o'clock. Letters from Damodar Mavalanka and KH found on my table, says President Henry Steele Olcott. Damodar Mavalanka did not say whether he will return or not. Damodar bids farewell conditionally and says, Brother Theosophist should all feel encouraged that he has found the blessed masters and has been called by them, within brackets, masters. That means called by them means masters. The dear boy's recent development or developments is astonishing. Homie bids me await orders. This is the text of the telegram, again given at 5:30 in the evening on 25/11/1883. This concludes our 128 and 129, and we'll get back to part 2 of 93. And if we remember, the last few sentences of the part 1, which we considered on 13th of September, were like this. Because of the investigation Master wanted to do as to how this happened, Master says, I read all the original scraps of transcription and your own original matter, which appeared in the magazine that was sent to me. But now, says the Master, I ask you to read the passages as they were originally dictated by me and make a comparison of what appeared in the Occult World magazine. This is the magazine of the spiritualists. This is where we stop. First para of page 418. So we'll continue from where we left and try to complete this letter. As part of finding out what had actually happened, Master wanted to collect the scraps of messages to examine or investigate, as Master said it. Sometime back we considered those sentences. I transcribed them. This is what Master is saying. I transcribed them for once, says Master KH, so that you, that means A P Sinnet, can compare the original passages with the article in hand. I transcribe them for once. Only for once I'm going to do it. Normally I dictate and somebody else transcribes it, but I'm doing it for the first time just for you so that you can compare the original passages with the article in hand. The article which has appeared in the Occult Word and Banner of Light, etc. Compare the transcription of the Master with the one transcribed by Chela, the Chela who was about to learn few things. He transcribed it. So the observation which master made was that he perhaps did not do it that well because he was still getting trained. If APS or AP Sinnet doubts his handwriting, master's handwriting, APS can compare the master's handwriting with the handwriting of his earlier letters. So this is another submission here or direction he is giving to Mr. A P Sinnet. You can compare my handwriting with the earlier letters which I have sent to you. And master says, alas, sad, by no means we're all gods. Meaning, though in good old days we were actively busy with impressions and precipitations, we are not gods. G, small g, G-O-D-S, small g. We are not at that level where we can be called or referred as gods. But he says we have some powers. We are adepts and not anything above that. Master says he has or was born with a new and higher light, and even that is not something one should feel proud or to be raved about. Though having got the power, it is not something which I should feel proud about it while living on earth, says Master. Master K.H. says, truly, the light of omniscience, meaning the all-knowing light, is the power possessed by the highest Chohan, the eternal light or all-knowing light or light of omniscience is the power possessed by the highest Chohan. And KH, Master KH says, this power which Chohan has is too far out of my reach, that is Master's reach, KH's reach. So it will take some more time for me to, maybe through sadhana I may get it, but right now it's out of my reach, is what Master KH is suggesting to Mr. Sinnet. Then Master says, so verbatim, word to word, I am restoring the fragments in toto, the fragments which he collected, which were originally transcribed by the Chela. He is saying, I am restoring the fragments in toto and have underlined with red ink the sentences omitted by Chela. I am restoring the fragments in toto which were transcribed by the Chela and have underlined with red ink the sentences omitted by Chela for your reference and comparison. This much trouble he has to take because he has not seen when the Chela asked him, would you like to see what is printed or what is imprinted? He didn't say anything positively to that Chela. So that's the reason why he has to go through all this process. At this place of the letter, the entire letter with Master's remark is given. In italics is what Master has opined, and the other is the text of the lecturers or Kiddle or some other person who has talked. So I'm not going into, Krishna is not going into what spiritualists said and what Master remarked, because that's a huge sentences which are there, the contrast being the italics or the remarks of the Master. So we are not getting into those details. Master says, this is the true copy of the original document. Master says, this is the original copy of the original document. True copy, sorry, this is the true copy of the original document. All the contents are restored for better understanding. All the contents are restored for better understanding. This is like Rosetta Stone to understand the Kiddle incident. And what is Rosetta Stone? It is one which gives clues to understanding. that is called Rosetta Stone. So he says, my reproduction of the entire thing will be like a Rosetta Stone, which will give you clues for you to understand in toto. We have heard how the process of precipitation and that how the transcription takes place. This was explained by the master in the previous half of the letter. Master is reminding the process details to Mr. Sinnet. Master KH says the sentences transcribed by Chela, Master KH says the sentences transcribed by Chela are those that were considered or dubbed as plagiarized. I got corrected for my pronunciation, and it is, I believe, plagiarized. And I was calling it plagiarized. It is not plagiarized, it is plagiarized. So I have learned something from my previous, what I said as differently, pronounced differently. It is plagiarized. And the missing links and disconnected sentences were those phrases, the missing links and the disconnected sentences were those phrases which I, as master, reflected on what I heard of spiritualists, and I reflected and remarked while I was traveling on the horseback and dictated those lines to Chela. And they were not properly transcribed, maybe because the imprint was not all right. They were not properly transcribed by the Chela. It is not his fault. That's what he said in the first half of the letter. At this stage, Master says, A P Sinnet, in fact, was hesitating to see occultism or phenomena of Madame Blavatsky, where it is called old lady. Old lady, they always referred Madame Blavatsky as old lady. Phenomena of HPV beyond spiritualism and mediumship. This is what he is commenting about the limitations of what Mr. Sinnet has understood as occultism. So Master says and owns up for the first time, I paid attention to the speeches of Americans and English spiritualists for the first time. Master says and owns up for the first time, I paid attention to the speeches of American and English spiritualists. The speeches were simply empty verbiage, means empty words. Verbiage means empty words. They were not having any substance as he feels it should have, and devoid of any meaning is what Master was referring to Mr. Sinnet. Master says, for the first time, KH, Master, he himself realized the talks were pernicious in nature. Master says, for the first time, he realized, that is, Master KH realized, the talks were pernicious, that is, harmful in nature. So KH, Master KH says, M knew more about them, that is, about spiritualists. KH says, Master says, he did not have that sort of interest in spiritualists and their lectures. The spiritualists are seeped in materialism. This is the observation of the Master. The spiritualists are seeped in materialism, but they take cover under the shadowy spiritual veil. The spiritualists are seeped in materialism. They're full of materialistic outlook, but they take cover under the shadowy spiritual veil. And Master says, my remarks were those that disappeared, and all that appeared in the letter were those that belonged to the spiritualists or their lectures. So when Chela asked me to look into that imprint, had I looked into that, I would have broken the liver in the enemy's hand. Liver means the one with which they operate, normally the machine. So I would have perhaps broken their hand enemy's hand. Master says, I neglected my duty. Master says, he is confessing, I neglected my duty, and that resulted in my karma, which evolved and getting bracketed as plagiarist or dubbed as plagiarist. The Banner of Light, the magazine of the spiritualists, said Kidil was the person who triumphed because his sentences are quoted by me or plagiarized by me. So they said Kidil has won, Kidil has triumphed, and I ended up as a person who lifted his sentences or lines. So this is what Master is saying to Mr. Sinnet. But the Sinnet would take it up and understand and compare all that we do not know. Because as we said the other day, the lies go faster down the hill, whereas truth will have to climb up the hill. So this is the problem we have in trying to explain, though we are on the right side, if we're explaining the second time after the lie has been established, it's very difficult for the other person to understand us. So Master says at this time, there will be a lot of discussions as to who plagiarized whom. There will be a lot of discussions as to who plagiarized whom. For example, between the Bacons and the Shakespeareans. Bacon is one of the very old English poet, and Shakespeareans. So who copied whom? There will always be the discussions, or between Kidil and KH. Who copied from whom? These discussions will be there for some more time to come. That's what Master is saying. Master says to Sinnet, and he says, to you, that is Mr. Sinnet, and to other friends, I need to explain. To you and to other friends of mine, I need to explain. It is my duty, says the Master. If others think that I, that is Master, he calls himself your humble servant, got inspiration from Kidil, they can do so. If others think, not my friends, not you, that's what he is assuming that they won't perhaps think. But if others think that I, your humble servant, got inspiration from Kidil, they can do so. They can form the opinion like that. And that's all right with me, says the Master. Master says, A P Sinnet can use the facts which he is now giving, which Master is now giving, and talk only in general terms. Don't put it up in print or talk to opponents in a big way. See this. Master says to Sinnet, he can use the facts, understand the facts, and understand that he did not plagiarize the contents, and talk only in general terms to others. Don't put it up in print or talk to opponents in a big way. You don't have to defend me, is what he said in the earlier part of the letter. So this is what the Master is. Master says he is a man in all respects and won't like to compromise on the dignity of being an adept. Especially as an adept, I'm indifferent to others' opinion, because I know what I have done is perhaps right from my perspective. I don't give value to what others say. A man normally doesn't do that. Normally, man thinks more about what others say than what he thinks about himself. So, but being an adept, he says, I'm indifferent to the opinions of others, of outside world, others and of the outside world. Man is affected by insult. Man is affected by insult. Man is affected by insult, and he cannot distinguish an intelligent looking surmise, means guess, and an insult. He will not be able to distinguish between these two, says the master. An adept is not affected, though even others call and refer to him sarcastically as adepts. So a lot of other spiritualists, you know what all the names they gave to Master KH. The sophist and all those things, you remember the words which they used against him. So even adept, he puts in inverted commas. So an adept is not affected, though even others call him or refer to him as sarcastically so-called adept. So this is what Master is saying. Master is excusing himself for not replying fully to the long business letter which Mr. Sinnet has written regarding perhaps the Phoenix newspaper or something like that. Master KH says, I will reply shortly in future. This is one assurance from the Master. Master says he will not even write to Mr. Ward. You know, we refer to Mr. Ward as one of his confidants, and he took Mr. Ward into confidence and also talked about taking A P Sinnet into confidence. So Master says he will not even write to Mr. Ward. His coming to India is all right. Mr. Ward coming to India is all right and approved. That means they have no objection for it, but not in his bringing Mr. C.C. Massey to India. Massey is one of the spiritualists along with Mr. M.A. Oxon. So Master says his bringing Mr. C.C. Massey to India is not that okay, or we don't approve of that. The coming of C.C. Massey will affect the Englishman living in India. This is what Master had talked about. And then Master says, this is one beautiful sentence which we can perhaps use wherever there is an opportunity to use. Master says, distrust and prejudice are contagious. I'll read it again. I'll pronounce it again. Distrust and prejudice are contagious. So these two things, if one has it, somebody else also gets it. Or prejudice, if somebody has got prejudice, he will also influence others to prejudge things. So Master says, distrust and prejudice are contagious. Master is quoting Mr. Ward, saying, one Mrs. K, one of the persons who was a spiritualist herself, is trying to, this is what Mr. Ward has said to Master KH. He says, Master Ward says, Mrs. K is trying to meet you in her trance. Master says this is flattering to know somebody is trying to get across to me in her trance. People miss seeing Master. This is something which we need to very closely follow, closely understand. People miss seeing Master or Masters because the Masters move in different astral circles. People miss seeing the Master or the Masters because Masters move in different astral circles. Not only Mrs. K, number of others also doubt the existence of Masters because they don't see them. So they exist in different astral circles, and people live in their own world, in their own milieu. So they miss seeing us. So he says, why the others or why people who are living in their own world are not able to see the Masters? Come unto our world. That's what one of the letters said, that you have to come into our world and not we come into your world. So this is what he is saying. Masters move in different astral circles. Not only Mrs. K, but number of others also doubt the existence of masters as they don't get to see them. They exist in different astral circles and people live in their own world. So people miss seeing us. So that's the reason why people miss the masters. If we raise the consciousness of ours to the world or to the consciousness of the masters, perhaps there is a chance. But if we expect that they should come down or they should help us to see them wherever they are, it's not possible. That's the message here. He compares the peaks of Alps, the mountain Alps. Each peak is different, and view from each peak is also different. So this is how one has to understand. Your way of looking at me is different. My way of looking at you is different. This is what he is suggesting. Peaks of Alps. Each peak is different, and view from each peak is also different. On one side, this is another. On one side, the spiritualists are people who believe that they know more of spirituality, but they are called spiritualists by the Theosophical Society, and in our own context, we call them spiritualists because they dabble with spirits which are not living. So they dabble with people who are dead and gone. On one side, the spiritualists are trying to defeat us and disprove us. They're trying to defeat us and disprove us, and to say that Mrs. K is trying to meet me in trance is rather flattering. That's what Master is saying again. And Master says, I'm an insignificant person, because they call him so many names. So he says, I'm an insignificant person. And what is that they will gain by getting in touch with me? They shouldn't waste their time on me, is what Master is saying. They shouldn't waste their time on me, is what Master is saying. And there is another sentence he says, there is very little affinity between our nature and the nature of the spiritualists, especially Mrs. K. There is very little affinity between our natures, or the Master's nature, and Mrs. K or the other spiritualists. As one of the American spiritualists himself remarked, says Master KH. This is the remark of one of the American spiritualists who said, KH, Master, they call him KH, and they called him so many other names. So there is very little affinity between us and the so-called adept. So that's why we don't approve or we don't get in touch with them, is what an American spiritualist remarked. This is what Master is quoting. Master talks and has good words for Madam Gebhard. Master talks about and has good words for Madam Gebhard, Gebhard. She is genuine and she is born occultist in her intuitions, says the Master. She is genuine and she is a born occultist in her intuition, says the Master. Master says further, it is more Master M's duty, Master Moria's duty, and I was not expected to see all the branches of the Theosophical Society and see how they are functioning. There's a different expression given in the letter, but I've made it easy. It is Master M's duty, and I am not expected to see all branches of the Theosophical Society and see how they are functioning. Master says that he will be at Madras, en route to Singapore and Ceylon and Burma. This is his travel plan. He is telling Mr. Sinnet. Master says that he will be at Madras. That was called Madras. Even now I call it Madras. I don't call it Chennai. Madras, en route to Singapore and Ceylon. It is not Sri Lanka. It was called Ceylon in good old days. And Burma. Now we call it Myanmar, I guess. Master says he will send an answer to the letter referred earlier, the business letter, through one of the chelas at headquarters, that means Adyar. This is what Master has given APS an assurance. Master again talks about Madam Blavatsky and says we have nothing against her because she is trying to represent us. She is getting insulted. This is the problem. Master talks about Madam Blavatsky and says we have nothing against her because she is trying to represent us. She is getting insulted. This has happened many times, including her moving away from Adyar is also a result of that. 31st March 1885, she moved out of Adyar, never to return again. She should be kept away from certain things so that she doesn't suffer, says the Master. Madam Blavatsky should be kept away from certain things so that she doesn't suffer, says the Master. This is what Master has to talk about Madam Blavatsky. Master says to Sinnet, let us drop the idea of Phoenix for now. The Phoenix is the newspaper which he wanted to start, Sinnet wanted to start. Master says, let us drop the idea of Phoenix for the time being and promise to answer. Master promises to answer A P Sinnet's questions in the next letter. There were perhaps further questions which were there in the business letter. And so he says, I promise to answer your questions in the next letter. And Master is asking to find time. This is another request which he is making. I don't know whether this sort of request is made anytime to others. Master is asking to find time and that Mr. Sinnet should write articles for the Theosophist magazine. Also, Mr. A P Sinnet should induce and encourage others, people like Mr. Myers, M-Y-E-R-S, to write for the magazine, The Theosophist. So this is one direction or request he is making to Sinnet, and also asking Sinnet to induce or encourage others to write articles, especially by Mr. Myers, M-Y-E-R-S, to write for the magazine, The Theosophist. That will be good deed. That will be a good deed. That will be a good work, Master says, and he will feel obliged for that act of writing articles to the Theosophist, says the Master. That will be a good deed, Master says, and he will feel obliged for that act of writing articles to the Theosophist. And Master is saying to Mr. Sinnet that he should not distrust Mr. Subbarao's writings. Mr. Subbarao is a contemporary of Madam Blavatsky, and he has helped the founders in the beginning when they were locating Adyar and trying to buy the first 13 acres. So Master is saying to A P Sinnet that Sinnet should not distrust Mr. Subbarao's writings. Master says Mr. Subbarao will write only when he is asked to write. Subbarao will never make a false statement. This is what Master is talking about Mr. Subbarao. Mr. Subbarao will write only when he is asked to write, and Subbarao will never make a false statement. The article of Subbarao on the errors of General Cunningham is a revelation and will lead to a revolution in Indian archaeology. This is what Master is saying about Mr. Subbarao. T. Subbarao, Swami T. Subbarao, Talla Pragada Subbarao. He was a lawyer. He was also a legal counselor for the founders. Master says the article of Mr. Subbarao will not receive the attention it deserves. He has written an article on General Cunningham, who is a Britisher. So Master is saying the article of Mr. Subbarao will not receive the attention it deserves. Mr. Subbarao is giving absolute facts, and you Europeans want fiction. See this. Mr. Subbarao is giving absolute facts, and you Europeans want fiction which suits your preconceived theories. This is the remark of the master. Master writes in postscriptum that your plan for a society within the London society looks reasonable. I don't know what he is referring to. And there is also another reference to hiding behind the skirts of humorists, which was there in the inverted commas. I thought about it for quite some time, but I'm not able to get it. Maybe somebody like Mahapatra, if they know, they should share this information. Master writes in postscriptum that your plan for a society within the London society looks reasonable. Try for something and something might come out of it. Try for something and something might come out of it. These are all the last sentences of what Master had to say in the second part of letter number 93. So we have covered this 93 letter in 2 sessions because it is quite longish letter, written on 19 one-side pages. We have tried our best to summarize it and talk about the salient points. There are certain things which to be noted and take for the future. For example, in this portion, we had distrust and prejudice are contagious. See, this is something which we should follow in life. So there are certain things which the guidance which is given to Sinnet actually is a guidance to us also. We should think that we should take those advices which Master has given to Sinnet as advices to us and search within us where are possibilities where we can correct ourselves. This is the whole purpose of the letters from the Masters of the Wisdom. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present these letter number 93 and letters 128 and 129. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother, for sharing your deep insight related to these letters. Now I request Meenakshi ji, kindly present your Hindi translation. Meenakshi ji.
सभी को नमस्ते. थैंक यू ब्रदर कृष्णा जी. आज हम लेटर नंबर 115, 116 और 117 ले रहे हैं. लेटर नंबर क्रोनोलॉजिकल लेटर नंबर 117 में मास्टर के एच सिनेट को लिखते हैं किडल इंसिडेंट के बारे में. आज यह सेकंड पार्ट है. मास्टर कहते हैं कि मुझे आपसे एक अनुरोध करना है कि आप उन अंशों को वैसे ही पढ़ें जैसे वे मूल रूप से मेरे द्वारा बताए गए थे और आपके सामने मौजूद द ऑकल्ट वर्ल्ड के साथ तुलना करें. मैं आपसे इस हस्तलिपि की तुलना मेरे द्वारा प्राप्त कुछ पुराने पत्रों से करने को कहता हूँ, ऐसा मास्टर सिनेट से कहते हैं. आगे वे कहते हैं कि हम सभी किसी भी तरह से देवता नहीं हैं. खास तौर पर जब आप याद करते हैं कि इम्प्रेशंस और प्रेसिपिटेशंस के स्वर्णिम दिनों से केज एक नए और उच्चतर प्रकाश में जन्मे हैं और वह भी इस धरती पर प्राप्त होने वाला अत्यंत तेजस्वी प्रकाश नहीं है. वास्तव में इस धरती पर सर्वज्ञता और पूर्व ज्ञान अभी भी मुझसे बहुत दूर है, जो कि सर्वोच्च चौहान के लिए चमकता है. मैं पुनः लिखे हुए अंशों से शब्दशः प्रतिलिपि संलग्न कर रहा हूँ तथा तुलना आसान करने के लिए छोड़े गए वाक्यों को लाल रंग से रेखांकित कर रहा हूँ. इसके बाद मास्टर बहुत कुछ लिखते हैं जो उन्होंने लिखा था, दरअसल चेला को बताया था. आगे वे कहते हैं कि यह मूल दस्तावेज की ट्रू कॉपी है जिसे अब पुनर्स्थापित किया गया है. किडल इंसिडेंट का यह रोजेटा स्टोन. वे कहते हैं कि चेला द्वारा लिखे गए वाक्य ज्यादातर वे हैं जिन्हें अब साहित्यिक चोरी या नकल माना जाता है, जबकि छूटी हुई कड़ियां ठीक वही वाक्यांश है जो दर्शाते थे कि पैसेजेस कोटेशंस नहीं बल्कि पूर्व स्मृतियां थी। मूल मुद्दा जिसको लेकर उस सुबह मैंने अपने विचार जोड़े थे। अपने जीवन में मैंने प्रथम बार अंग्रेजी और अमेरिकी व्याख्याताओं के तथाकथित प्रेरणादायक वक्तृत्व के काव्यात्मक मीडिया के कथनों पर गंभीरता से ध्यान दिया था। उनकी गुणवत्ता और सीमितता की ओर ध्यान दिया। मैं इस शानदार लेकिन खोखले शब्द प्रयोग से चकित था और पहली बार इसकी घातक बौद्धिक प्रवृत्ति को पूरी तरह से पहचाना। मास्टर एम उनके बारे में सब कुछ जानते थे, लेकिन चूंकि मेरा उनमें से किसी से भी कभी कोई पाला नहीं पड़ा था, इसीलिए उनमें कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं हुई। घनेरे आध्यात्मिक आवरण के तहत अनाड़ी रूप से छिपा हुआ उनका घोर और भद्दा भौतिकवाद, जिसने उस समय मेरे विचारों को आकर्षित किया। उद्धृत वाक्यों को लिखवाते समय उन कई वाक्यों का एक छोटा सा हिस्सा जिस पर मैं कुछ दिनों से विचार कर रहा था, यह वे विचार थे जो प्रमुखता से प्रेषित हुए। मेरी अपनी विवरणात्मक टिप्पणियां प्रेसिपिटेशन में लुप्त हो गई। यदि मैंने छापित प्रतिलिपि को देखा होता, तब दुश्मन के हाथ में एक और हथियार टूट गया होता। कर्तव्य दक्ष न होने के कारण मेरे कर्म बढ़ गए हैं, जिसे भविष्य के मीडियम्स और बैनर ऑफ लाइट पत्रिका किडल ट्रियम्फ यानी किडल की विजय कह सकते हैं। आपको और कुछ अन्य सच्चे साथियों को मैं स्पष्टीकरण देना अपना कर्तव्य समझता हूँ। मिस्टर किडल, चाहे वह कोई भी हो, वह मेरा प्रेरणादायी है, प्रेरणा स्रोत है या नहीं, इसका अधिकार मैं बाकी सभी लोगों पर छोड़ता हूँ। मैंने अपना स्पष्टीकरण दिया है और अब आप इन तथ्यों को लेकर अपनी ओर से जो चाहे कर सकते हैं। इन्हें आप प्रिंट में न इस्तेमाल करें या विरोधियों से इनके बारे में सामान्य तौर पर भी कहे ना। इनके पीछे के मेरे कारणों को आपने समझना चाहिए। कोई भी एक इंसान बनने से रुकता नहीं, न ही एक सिद्ध पुरुष होने के कारण अपनी गरिमा खो देता है। निस्संदेह एक सिद्ध पुरुष बाहरी दुनिया की राय के प्रति काफी उदासीन रहता है। मेरे पास आपके पिछले लंबे व्यावसायिक पत्र का उत्तर देने का अभी समय नहीं है, लेकिन मैं जल्द ही उत्तर दूंगा, ऐसा मास्टर सीनेट से वादा करते हैं। आगे वे कहते हैं कि मैं मिस्टर वॉर्ड को उत्तर दूंगा क्योंकि यह व्यर्थ होगा। मैं उनके यानी मिस्टर वॉर्ड के भारत आने का समर्थन करता हूँ, लेकिन मिस्टर सीसी मैसी को यहाँ लाने की कल्पना नामंजूर करता हूँ। इसका परिणाम अंग्रेजों में थियोसॉफी के उद्देश्य को हानि पहुंचाना होगा। अविश्वास और पूर्वाग्रह संक्रामक होते हैं। मिस्टर वॉर्ड कहते हैं कि मिसेस एना किंग्सफोर्ड ने अपनी एक या अधिक ट्रांसेस में मुझसे मिलने की पूरी कोशिश की थी। यद्यपि उन्होंने अपनी पूरी आत्मिक उत्कटता से मुझे आह्वान किया, उन्हें कोई प्रत्युत्तर नहीं मिला। निस्संदेह हम अलग अलग एस्ट्रल सर्कल्स में विचरण करते हैं। आल्प्स की पर्वत श्रृंखला आप जानते हैं, और किसी भी दो पर्वत शिखरों से एक जैसा नजारा नहीं मिलता है। जैसे कि एक अमेरिकी अध्यात्मवादी कहेगा, हमारे दो स्वभावों के बीच बहुत भिन्नता है, ऐसा प्रतीत होता है। मैडम गेभार्ड सच्चे स्वभाव की है। वह अपनी अंतःप्रज्ञा में एक जन्मजात ऑकल्टिस्ट है। हालांकि यह मुझसे ज्यादा मास्टर एम का कर्तव्य है, और मास्टर ने उनके साथ कुछ प्रयोग भी किए थे, ऐसा भी कहते हैं। आगे वे कहते हैं कि मैं मिस्टर ब्राउन का ओल्ड लेडी को यानी HPB को भेजा गया टेलीग्राम पत्र के साथ संलग्न कर रहा हूँ। इस सप्ताह मैं सिंगापुर और सिलोन और बर्मा के रास्ते मद्रास में रहूंगा। मैं हेडक्वार्टर स्थित एक चेला के जरिए आपके पत्र का उत्तर दूंगा। HPB से कृतज्ञता नहीं है हमारी, हमें उनसे कोई शिकायत नहीं है। फोनिक्स का विचार कुछ दिनों के लिए छोड़ दे, ऐसा मास्टर सीनेट से कहते हैं। आगे वे कहते हैं कि यदि आप द थियोसॉफिस्ट पे लिखने के लिए समय निकालते हैं और किसी और को, जैसे कि मिस्टर मायर्स को लिखने के लिए प्रेरित करते हैं, तो यह आपका मुझ पर उपकार होगा। सुब्बा राव के लेखन पर अविश्वास करना आपकी गलती है। निश्चित ही वे स्वेच्छा से नहीं लिखते, लेकिन वे कभी भी गलत बयान नहीं करेंगे। जनरल कनिंघम की गलतियों के बारे में उनके बयान को भारतीय पुरातत्व शास्त्र में क्रांति की ओर ले जाने वाला रहस्योद्घाटन माना जाना चाहिए। निस्संदेह इसे कभी भी वह मान नहीं मिलेगा जिसका वह हकदार है। केवल इसलिए कि उनके बयानों में गंभीर तथ्य है, और आप यूरोपीय लोग जो पसंद करते हैं वह आमतौर पर कल्पना है। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि लंदन थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के भीतर एक आंतरिक सोसाइटी की आपकी योजना के बारे में मैं जितना सोचता हूँ, उतनी ही मुझे यह योजना उचित लगती है। कोशिश करें, शायद इससे कुछ हासिल हो। अब हम क्रोनोलॉजिकल लेटर नंबर 115 में आते हैं, जो कि टेलीग्राम है कर्नल ऑलकॉट का HPB को। HPB तब अड्यार में थी। अक्टूबर और नवंबर 1883 में कर्नल ऑलकॉट, दामोदर और WT ब्राउन उत्तरी भारत के दौरे पर थे। कर्नल ऑलकॉट मैडम ब्लेवेट्स्की को टेलीग्राम करते हैं कि मास्टर्स दामोदर को ले गए हैं, वापसी का वादा नहीं किया गया है। इस टेलीग्राम जाते समय मास्टर का एक वाक्य अंकित हुआ है। वे कहते हैं कि हम उन्हें वापस भेज देंगे। क्रोनोलॉजिकल लेटर नंबर 116 यानी टेलीग्राम नंबर 2। कर्नल ऑलकॉट टेलीग्राम करते हैं HPB को कि दामोदर सुबह 8 बजे के करीब चले गए। उनके और मास्टर के एच के पत्र मेरी मेज पर मिले। वे वापस आएंगे या नहीं यह कह नहीं सकता। दामोदर ने हम सभी को सशर्त विदाई दी और कहा कि थियोसॉफिस्ट बंधुओं को यह जानकर प्रोत्साहित होना चाहिए कि उन्हें महात्मा मिले और उनके द्वारा बुलाया गया। दामोदर का हाल ही का विकास आश्चर्यजनक है, और मास्टर KH ने मुझे प्रतीक्षा करने के लिए कहा है। थैंक यू। नमस्ते।
Thank you, Meenakshi ji, for your perfect and nice translation. Now, forum is open for discussion. Participants can ask question from speaker, or if they want to add, they are most welcome.
नमस्ते कृष्ण जी, मुझे एक प्रश्न है। हेलो, मैं आप सुन पा रहे हैं मुझे? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I want to ask you said somewhere at 6:30 that master stays in different astral surface. What does it mean?
Should I reply this? They are in different
Yes,
astral
sir.
circles. What does it mean? Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, we normally living on earth, we have a lot of desires, lot of things which we would like to perhaps get into a grip. So we are in this world, and this astral world is different. whereas their astral world is devoid of desires. So they are simply out of this circle of desires and desirefulness. They are desireless people. So they are in a different scale altogether. So that's the reason why when we are living in this lower astral, so to say, which is full of desires and desirefulness, we will not be able to see them unless we get that qualification of desirelessness, discrimination and desirelessness, which Master KH talks about in various places. Unless we get to that desirelessness state, we will not be able to go to that circle where they are functioning. That's exactly what he meant.
Okay, sir. Okay. Means out of the 7 levels of astral plane, they are in the upper planes. You
It's
mean
not
to
like
say?
that. I'm saying, I'm not saying something different. Our astral is more of desirefulness. You get my point? Our astral life or astral plane is full of desires. Their astral plane is devoid of desires. Desireless state is something which they have achieved as a qualification long time back. So they are in a different, see, like we are flying in an aeroplane, we are flying. I am going to Calcutta and there's another flight which is going above me, and that's going to perhaps some other place, not necessarily Calcutta to where I'm going, but it is going elsewhere. But it is going parallelly, but they are in a different height and I'm on a different height. You get my point? This is an example I'm trying to give.
No, your first expression was better. Means
This is
they are
also better
desireless.
because to understand the thing properly, mine is a plane which is full of desires. Their astral plane is devoid of desires. So a lot of times it happens, I don't know whether you have experienced that. I am going in one particular altitude and another plane is going in a different altitude. It is like that. It is like that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. I just want to say something, sir. I think
Yeah,
we should learn from this letter that if we commit mistake unknowingly, even then we should accept our mistake as master accepted that I have neglected my duty regarding the writing of the letter. Because in the
regarding
last
going
letter,
through, regarding
going,
when
yeah,
Chela said, please go through, he
Ji,
did not go through. That's the problem.
because in the last letter, master said that he did not revise the letter before handing over to Chela.
It is
So
not
it
handing
gives
over,
mess.
madam.
Oh,
It's not handing over. He
so,
has said something and it is getting
some said,
transcribed. It is
Ji,
getting precipitated elsewhere. When
Ji,
the Chela asked him, do you would like to see how the imprint has come? He said no. He was
okay,
confident it would be all right. That was the problem.
okay.
Hmm.
It gives message
Yes,
that we are
we should own
supposed
up
to be
our
very
mistakes.
careful.
Your statement that we should own up our mistakes is very right.
Ji,
Very right. Because a lot of times we say we have to condone the mistakes of others, but then we have to learn to accept our mistakes. That's right. Absolutely right.
thank you.
There is a saying, to err is
Any,
human, to forgive is divine. Am I right? To err is
yes,
human,
yes,
to forgive is divine. To own up is
yes,
more divine.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Shinde sir, do you want to say something? Pradeep sir?
Yeah, I want to say something about the PS, the last note, postscript. There was an election in London Lodge, where AP Sinnet wanted to become the president of this London Lodge. But Masters wanted Anna Kingsford to be the president. And because she was a vegetarian, they preferred her to be. So eventually she was elected as a president of London Lodge. So this is where they are commenting that I'm very happy about that position now of the London Lodge.
Master was not quite happy that Senate was contesting first. It's there in another letter.
Yes.
And when after he got elected, he talks about it. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. See, forming a
Yes.
society within society,
Yes.
it is something which we have to understand in broader terms what exactly it means. You're creating your own group, maybe. Is that what he wanted to say? We don't know exactly what he wanted to say. So, society within society. Yeah.
No, it was
You said is
almost
right.
the same
It is
time.
regarding the election.
I'm talking
It
about
is
the
regarding
same
the election.
time
What he said is right.
because in your letter, in the letter you read now, he says we forget about now Phoenix magazine.
That's right.
And
Because
yeah,
he is not
so
accepting to the conditions which they gave. No.
only few days before that, and a few days in that time, at the same time of the letters, 3 letters was read out today.
Yeah, in the previous letters which we considered
Anyway,
about
maybe
the
it's
magazine,
different. Yes,
magazine
maybe
Phoenix,
different.
there
I
were
don't know.
conditions.
Maybe different.
There were conditions which he was supposed to accept, or he was supposed to consider. He was not considering those conditions laid down by the investors. So that is how it fell through. The
Yes.
investment deal fell through. So that's how
Yeah.
we should forget about Phoenix, is what he's saying. Very
Any
right.
other question? Pradeep sir, do you want to say something?
No, exactly. I don't like to say anything, but to Shitalji, she she has to read again this astral plane, astral body, all these things. And if you have that self-culture book, Shitalji, go through the astral plane, astral body, development of astral bodies. So we have desires full of, and Mahatma, they don't have any desires. Only desire is to work for the humanity. So that is the work of Mahatmas. So they are all desireless people. Example can be in a water full of dirty and other things, and another is clean water. So if you go through clean, dirty waters, you will face a lot of problems like that. Same thing will happen if you continue with your personality having astral body with full of astral plane. But if you go above, and Krishna ji also pointed out, the flight going to Calcutta and another flight higher level of that flight going to a much longer place. So they have their astral body because they kept it in Nirmanaka gestures they kept. So they are working for the humanity. So they require astral bodies for the use, but it has no desires. That Krishna ji explained beautifully. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sushma ji, we can close.
Yes, yes, yes. If there is no question, we will proceed for closing prayer. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. From the unreal lead us to the real, From darkness lead us to light. From death lead us to immortality. Sarve bhavantu sukhna. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukbhag bhavet. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, ma'am.